Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. How is everybody today? Good, I hope. I hope all are inside in air conditioning and are sitting in a comfy place with your paints in front of you. Hey, Lauren. So I need to say that the lawn people are here and they are really doing like a big trim on our tree in our front yard. So it's gonna be loud. Just warning you. Oh yeah. Yay, Nancy, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I am. So, today is let's see. Let's get through all of our housekeeping. So, remember to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Corbiere-Scott Designs. Make sure that it says Corbiere-Scott Designs. As the Corbiere-Scott is my family Facebook. I'm toying with the idea of making that private so that I can have, I can separate them better. To purchase my art printables, please go to my website and Corbiere-ScottDesigns.com. I have 10 on there right now, and I have about 4 in the works. I've always kind of playing around with new ideas and, there's always new flowers to draw, for crying out loud, and, other things too. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and then once you take this class, hey, Barbara, be sure to ask to join my private Facebook group, Let's Get Artsy with Corbiere-Scott. That's where we share our artsy creations and lots of encouragement and positivity. That's kind of really important to me, that everybody is kind to one another. I know that sounds really hippy-dippy, but that's who I am. So, not going to apologize for it. That's for darn sure. Sorry, just trying to pull up this, so I can see your comments. I'm trying to pull it up on my, there we go. Okay. Trying to pull it up on my other iPad so I can see what you guys are saying and we can chat. So today we are going to play with my brand new art printable, Carmen. So Carmen is my dear sweet friend, and if you've bought it, then you know all about her. I wrote about her on in my description of this paintable. But I wanted to jump on the Christmas in July bandwagon because I too am a artist who hasn't sent Christmas cards in a couple years because I can't get my act together. So I thought, if we all do this together, then we'll have no excuse, right? So I have 3 done that I did with Copic markers last week, and I'm going to show you those, but we're going to paint them in a different way today. And if you follow my Instagram, then you'll see that my design team, Tessa and Lauren, they always post new and innovative ways to use my art printables. But all of a sudden, I'm capturing the attention of some other really talented girls. So Charmaine is the one who painted the textury gesso background with this art printable, and seriously, it's amazing. So be sure to check that out on my Instagram. And my Facebook. So anyway, there's always lots of inspiration. I love finding new techniques and new ways of using, hey Lisa, new ways of, you know, I like to see how everybody else sees everything, you know, because we all have a unique eye, right? So without further ado, I'm going to show you the ones that I did last week. Hey Bev! The ones I did last week with Copics. So here's the slimline that I did last week. I used the no blend. Hi Aunt Chris. I did the no blend Copic technique with this that Yana had posted. Oh, it's been a little bit, I think. But anyway, I borrowed this slimline die from my friend Lucinda, and I'm thinking I need to get it. So it's by Gina Marie, but I just love that it has just enough something to really enhance whatever you're putting on top of it. So it has these dotted lines and some holes every now and again. And then this one, I did the stitched edge slimline die from Trinity. So this one I did Feliz Navidad. And then this one I did the traditional blending Copic technique. So I did, you know, all of my printables have one slimline, one A2, and then one individual piece of artwork. And so for that one, and this I just colored over the sentiment with my main Copic color, and then I just trimmed it. So I colored it solid on both of these. I just thought that was quite striking. So here is the third one, and I'm really proud of this one. Isn't that lovely? I ordered a, you know, I am on a quest to support as many small businesses as I can, as I grew up with many small business owners in my family. So this die I got from Paper and I in Marshall, Michigan. They're super good about shipping lickety split, so be sure to check them out. They're on Instagram and Facebook. They have virtual shopping nights. I think Monday is a shopping night. They do something on Monday and something on Friday. But anyway, if you follow them, you'll start to just see like so many cool things that, you know, every store can't have everything, but we want to keep them all open through this weird COVID. So here is the card that I created with this. I left all of the pieces in once I die cut it, and then I just ran it through my Xyron, so it's solid adhesive all the way through, and then I just adhered the whole thing to a card front. As you'll see on this art printable, this image down here is within a circle. I just thought that would be something fun to kind of play with. So I just die cut that, and then I mounted it on a piece of black. I mean, you know, I could turn it into something else later, but for now, oh, thanks, Nancy. That's what I've done. Okay, so because we've been talking about Paper and I, Keeley, in Marshall, Michigan. It's not very far from your house. Okay, so because we've been talking about different substrates to print on, I thought that I would try and print on something that everybody has, right? So I printed this on cardstock, 100-pound smooth, regular old cardstock. So here's the trick. If you run cardstock through your inkjet and you heat set it, you should be able to watercolor right on top of it. and here it is. I watercolored this so that I could kind of have a feel for it before everybody got here today. And then I like to go in and enhance my watercoloring with colored pencils. So this is lemon peel, and I love lemon peel. So I'm going to sharpen this. I always have a sharpener right beside me. And then I like to just come in. So right here where I've already created the stippling for shade, I'm going to come in and deepen that with just a jiggy jaggy like this. Like just scribbly, scribbly, scribbly. Can everybody see that? Like just kind of a loose scribble. So another trick is the higher up you hold your pencil, the looser you'll be, because you don't have as much control over the tip of the pencil. So that's an idea, like if you're struggling with that. But I just like to kind of jiggy jaggy. Now let's do this one up here. So I was thinking about, poinsettias, they kind of run the gamut of colors, don't they? They're, so I have another one here that I thought I could paint along with you guys. No worries, Lisa, no worries. I created the typed background. That's where it came from, Miss Lisa. I created it my own dang self. So this is the trick with painting on regular cardstock. Unlike when we're painting on watercolor paper, is that cardstock isn't as fibrous, right? So it's on the printable. So when you print your printable, Lisa, it'll come out with poinsettias with the Christmas star poinsettia background, text background already on it. Okay, so this is what I've found in my experimenting. So I'm gonna wet my brush, and then I'm gonna come in here and grab, you know what, I have my camera a little bit closer today, but it's hard to keep everything in shot. So you tell me if I'm out of shot. Okay, so I'm just making a watery red, right? But here's the trick. I'm gonna tap it off on my paint cloth. Hi, Catherine Daly. And then I'm just gonna do a light. I'm just not using as much water as we use on watercolor paper. So Catherine, we're just printing on regular cardstock today and painting with watercolors on the same images, but printed on regular cardstock. So this is something that anybody can do, right? And if you don't have a printer, as I know some of you don't, I've been trying to find the solution for everybody. If you don't have a printer and you need to go to Kinko's or Office Max or wherever, and they won't let you bring in your own paper, then you can just ask them to print it on heavy cardstock. And then it'll be fine. So do you see, I'm just doing, like always, I'm doing a lighter, still a washy light layer of paint, of color, right? But it's not as wet as when we do watercolor paper. So I'm gonna clean off my brush, grab a little bit more water. 100 pound Patricia, 100-pound is the cardstock that I printed on this time. But it shouldn't matter. Hi, Samantha. It shouldn't matter. You should be able to print on whatever cardstock they have, and you'll be fine. Right? So we're just going to Are you at work today, Sam? So I'm just, again, adding some more, making a little bit more of a puddle of red. I hope that you guys can see that. Yes. And then I'm going to, if you get your prints made at Kinko's or, so we're having lunch together. If you get your prints made at a printer place like Kinko's or Office Max or whatever, their machines are LaserJet printers. And when you get things printed on a LaserJet, they are, then you don't have to worry about heat setting it. And it's a little bit raised when you, once it's printed. If you're printing on an inkjet, you need to make sure that you heat set it before you paint on it. But for, here's the thing. If you've bought it, then you can print it as many times as you want. So now I'm coming back in. So if you start painting and you hate it, oh well, just start another one. But remember I said that it's got to be pretty bad to be hopeless and you should throw it away. I think most everything painty is fixable. So now I've come in with a little bit more color and I'm doing that same jiggy jaggy. Hi Rebecca, how are you? I hope you're painting with me today. So I'm going to come in with that same jiggy jaggy blending, but remember that the difference with regular cardstock is that it's not as forgiving as watercolor paper. So when we're painting with watercolor paper, we can move that color around quite easily, right? But on regular cardstock, it's different. It's just like, it just doesn't, so you just have to, remember we were talking on, I think on Saturday, that, it doesn't matter what paints you use, or what paints you have. I mean, certainly having artist quality is super nice, but it's not a prerequisite. The most important thing is that you know your products. Make sure that you use them a lot and that you play with them a lot and try them on different papers and try them with different brushes. And I'm so sorry. Can you hear that banging from the Can you hear the banging from the tree getting cut down in my front yard? I'm just like the dogs have moved away from the living room. They don't even want to watch anymore. It's too loud out there. Okay. So, well, boo, Rebecca. I wish you could paint with me, but I totally understand. We all have to pay our bills. So, anyway, so I was listening to my friend and mentor, Lindsay, this morning on her Facebook Live, and she was talking about, someone asked her what she likes to draw on. And she was like, well, I mostly like to draw on, a sketch pad or copy. She is like we will draw on anything. I will draw on a napkin. I will draw on a piece of scratch paper, a legal pad, a composition book, whatever. So, but I'll also paint on any of those things. So just know that nothing is, you don't have to have the perfect stuff. You can make what you have work, right? So it's just going to take a little practice and a little bit of tenacity. And you're going to have to learn how to just take your time and slow down. Okay, so I mixed up a little bit more red. So we're going to let this one dry. Let's go up here to this one. I'm going to kind of move it that way. There, can you see everything now? I think so. So I'm going to start to the same thing where I'm just going to add a little bit of deeper color down here at the stippling part, and I'm doing that same, remember we talked about this tap 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 pouncing method of blending color, right? So we're going to put that down, let it dry for a minute, dry off our brush on our paint cloth, right? Now we're going to come in with that damp brush that just got dried off on our paint cloth, and now we're just going to pounce that out, right? So do you see how that's still it blends out, it's just not as gradual, right? So we're going to come back in. I just added some more water because I can't help myself. Maybe I should have made that less watery, but oh well, we're just gonna go with it, right? So now let's try and get these petals of this beautiful poinsettia a deeper shade. And it's okay if you overshoot your petal, it's all right. And it's okay if you have some of the undercolor that shows through. I kind of dig that because it feels kind of, see, like I have a little bit of white there. I'm going to totally leave that. I'm just going to make and leave a little bit of the pink show through. That's going to kind of look more like a real petal, because a real petal isn't like a solid color, right? A real petal has a little bit of undertones, right? Undertones and deeper shades. So we're gonna leave that the way it is. Then we're gonna come back to this one. And you know, I was thinking about how there's so many different colors of poinsettias, right? There's usually, I mean, the big ones are red, white, and pink, I believe. And though I was thinking about the white ones are almost like a yellowy, creamy color. So I thought, why couldn't we just make our own yellowy, creamy color, right? So I'm going to find a clean spot on this on this paint cloth and clean off one section of my, you know how I love to mix colors. So I'm going to try and clean off this one section, get all the purple out, right? And then I was thinking, let's try to do some color blending. And I thought, what a better way to show everybody what I'm talking about than to just do it right here. So let's take, I'm going to take a brush that has a, hi Pam. Well, you know you can always watch me on the replay, right? So I'm going to take some white with a brush with bigger bristles, and this is number 8, so it's much heftier, right? But it still has really good snap. So and it's Zen Royal Lang Nickel. So I'm still getting some paint over here, right? So what I observed about those so-called white poinsettias is that it's a little bit of like a creamy, yellowy kind of white. So I'm gonna paint my petals this color. So if I'm doing this, then I'm really starting to think that the background, I should do the background. Oh, thank you so much, Pam. And then I'll be anxious to see what you do with it. Can you guys still see what I'm doing if I turn this slightly? Where was I going with that? Oh, girls, get me back to where I was. It'll take me a second. Give me a sec. So, one of the things I noticed was that they're kind of a creamy yellowy color, and so I'm doing just like I did with the red ones. I'm just kind of putting a loose, almost sloppy, but trying to kind of stay in the lines coat of. Thank you, Lisa. I knew I was going somewhere. Someone would remember where I was going. Yes, Rebecca, please do. You know what? Next time you're out here, you need to just come sit at my kitchen table and paint with me. Or we could go shopping, either one. Let's see. So, background. Because this flower is light, let's think about doing a background that is deeper so that this will pop, right? So we could do like a deep gray like I did with the, let's see, which one did I do? This one I did, this was shop and paint. Exactly, Lisa. What could be finer? Not much. Okay, so this one I did a pretty light gray around the edges, but do you see how that little bit of work around the edges will really make your images pop? And so that was done with Copic. So now we have to kind of think about how we're going to do this with watercolors. So you know how I'm always telling you to have a color wheel. The opposite of yellow on the color wheel will be what? Does anybody remember? It's blue. So we want to, so then for our background, let's talk about, we want to talk about doing like a light blue background against these almost yellow, right? So we want to stick with the same tone, right? So this yellow, you're right, it's purple, sorry, not blue. Blue and orange are opposites. See, I always need my color wheel near me. So we could do a light bluey purple, right? We just want something that's going to make this pop. But remember, it needs to be in the same tone as these petals. So the other thing that I noticed when I was looking at some pictures of poinsettias, because guess what? There's not very many poinsettias out right now. I'm just going to take some of this watery, kind of a khaki color that I happen to have over here. It's like a milky brown, right? Weird. I don't know why I have that. I just do. But to make it, you're just going to pull some brown and some white, and we can tap that out over there. And then we're going to grab a little bit of this color that we just made, and we're going to add it to it, right? So now we have a lighter version, but we're keeping the same family, right? And we're going to come in, and we're going to deepen all of the edges of, there goes my phone. There's always some kind of noise going on around here, and I think it's pretty quiet, but oh well. but it starts to sound loud when I know other people are listening. So I'm just going to tap out that lighter kind of khaki color, right? So I just tap some of that in. I'm drying off my brush on my paint cloth, and then I'm going to come in and tap that out. So it just blends into the petals, right? Wipe off any excess paint onto my paint cloth. Because as you're tapping, you're picking up paint. So let's wipe that off on our paint cloth, right? Because when you wipe your brush off, remember that then now it's just damp, it's gonna absorb paint, right? And tap it out. All right, can you see the difference in that? I think it's just, so you're just gonna kind of gradually build it is so easy. It really is, I promise. Okay, so now I'm gonna get some yellow, right? Because I wanna paint these stamen. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it. And then I'm just gonna start that first layer, right? So then I'm like, ooh, I have that yellow done already. Let's do these stamen on these poinsettias. It could be drying while we're painting something else. And remember, once it's down, we can kind of manipulate it to make it do whatever we want it to do later. Let's do this one too, because why not? Why not, I ask you? If we could make this one pink, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? All right, so let's see. We could go back over here. Is anybody painting with me, or is everyone just watching? Let me know. All right, so I feel like I want these to be a little bit deeper red. So I'm gonna come in. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. So this one is drying. So let's set this aside and let's go back to the one that I had started earlier today. So now let's deepen that, but with colored pencils. That's kind of a fun thing that anybody can do, because I know you all have colored pencils and watercolors, because which ones of us don't? Okay, let's try raspberry. So here's another little trick. Color over on the side, because we're going to be cutting these all down. Use your sides, and I have to do a 1/2-inch border on everything, on the sides, around that artwork before I can, as I'm setting it up. So that's all gonna get cut off anyway. So use this to test some colors. So this is called raspberry, and I'm kind of digging it for down here. So remember, I'm gonna do that same jiggy joggy, right? Just kind of scribbly. And then what I like to do what I like to do is follow the lines that are already there, right? That's kind of taking part of the work out for you. So like this, remember, if a petal is underneath 2 other petals, this one is going to appear darker. So we could just come in and just barely, we're just gonna trace that line. But my pencil's kind of like barely touching the paper, right? So do you see we've already created a little bit of depth, right? Let's do here. I try to stay right on the line, but sometimes I overshoot it. Oh well. You know, I'm not a surgeon, I'm an artist. So let's go down the center, like the of the petal, go down that vein of the petal, because that's going to kind of create a little bit of texture too, right? And this one is underneath this one, so let's do that same thing. We can come back and deepen that as much as we want. We can deepen all the way around here. Like this can all be a deeper red, right? And it's already, there we go, there we go, there we go. Diddle-diddle-diddle. And you can't, so I like to do this, just kind of that jiggy-jaggy, because I feel like it's loose, right? So we could do the same thing up there. But I did want to show you that you could, remember we talked about in our Colored Pencils 101, which was just a Tuesday class. But anyway, if you have a sharp pencil, you're going to be able to be more detail-y and crisp lines. If you have a rounded pencil, that's blending bliss, right? You can blend like nobody's business. All right, so let's sharpen this olive green just a little bit, and then you can draw some lines in here, right? Because this is a deeper shade, it's going to really kind of show up. But here's the trick. What did we use before? What was the green? Lemon something. Lemon peel, or I don't know. Yeah, lime peel. Okay, so now, because we've made that little bit of texture, can everybody see that? You could come back with the color that we originally colored with and do that. Remember we talked about the other day, the circle, circle, circle blending trick? Blend it out. So do you see, like, just by putting those lines, in art we call that mark making. Just by putting those lines, we've created more texture, right? So it looks like this side of the leaf goes down and this side of the leaf goes down. So it's like like that. Do you know what I'm saying? And it goes to the center. So we could deepen that. And we could even do a light layer of that. And then the same in here. And the same in here. And then down here. Follow that. Remember we talked about follow the line of whatever the image that you're fiddling around with. So if you follow the line, kind of the curve of this leaf, you're going to kind of all of a sudden add some dimension and roundness to it. But do you see I left that very edge white, and that's going to create more dimension too. Let's see, what can we do next? La la la. Oh, I wanted to. So for the stamen, I'm gonna sharpen my pencil a little bit because I want a sharp edge of my pencil because I'm going into such a small area. But you'll see that I have 3 shades of varying shades of yellow and orange, and then I'm going to sharpen the one that we the lime peel. I kind of dig that color. Okay, so now let's go in these little stamen, and we're going to lighten it up with canary yellow by just like following the edge of the circles that I drew, right? And then we could come in and do some scribble scrabble around the edges. Do you see where there's a little bit of white that shows? And do the same. Remember, Prismacolors are quite waxy, so their blendability is top notch. All right, so now let's come in with the next shade, which is Spanish Orange. And we're gonna come around that same kind of area. By adding these layers of color, we're kind of creating shape, right? And then the deepest shade is Cadmium Orange, right? Excuse me. It's not the corona, I promise. It's just a dry throat. All right, so sometimes I like to just blend it with my finger because I can control the pressure and the, you know, how hard I'm pushing and stuff on it. But I wanted to show you another cool thing. Oh, door's open. The tree trimmers are still out there. So remember we had talked before about Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I'm going to take, does everybody remember this? It's the tool for, what do they call it? What kind of embossing? Dry embossing. So I'm going to take, so it has two metal tips that have like a round ball on them. I'm going to take, in the cap, there's lots of paint, so I'm going to take just the smallest one and come in and add just some dots of white, right? I know we're getting close on time, but I wanted to share this part with you. Make them some big, some small, right? You might have a little bit of problems because the of the wax of the Prismacolors, but it'll dry. It'll dry eventually. And the cool thing about Dr. P.H. Martin's, the bleed proof white, is that no color is going to bleed through. Like, it's not going to turn kind of yellow. Let's see. And then, you know, we can do, I was thinking on Thursday's class, everybody can paint their poinsettias, and then we could do some backgrounds and finishing of the 3 cards. What do you think about that? Does that sound good to everybody? Like, we can create some modeled backgrounds, we could create some colored pencils, some painted, some whatever, and then we can, then you're all set to make them, then all you have to do is assemble. Does that sound good to everybody? Yes? No? Maybe so? Yes. I see one thumb. I'm going to take that as a yes. So I'm going to keep painting for about, I think I can have about 15 minutes. So does anybody have anything they want to talk about, or I'm going to paint on this one, I think, because I'm curious about this white one, creating it, and this one. So these I'm going to go toward deep red, like traditional poinsettias, and then this one I'm thinking I want to do kind of a corally color, because I have seen those in, you know, out and about. So you need, Lisa, you need to go to Corbiere-Scott Designs.com. Here is my very fancy sign Follow me on Facebook at Corbiere-Scott Designs. Follow me on Instagram at Corbiere-Scott Designs. Purchase my art printables at Corbiere-ScottDesigns.com. And then join my private Facebook group, Let's Get Artsy with Anne Corbiere-Scott on Facebook. Because we will have ourselves a time. Did you get everything? Is that good? Everybody? So, I think I want to work on this one a little bit more. So I'm taking a smaller brush now, a number 2. I'm going to come in with a deeper shade of that milky brown, remember we talked about? So we're kind of doing the same thing where it's with a heat gun. Bev, do you have a heat gun? For embossing and such. Or you could, in a pinch, because I've done this, you could flip it upside down on top of a paper towel and iron it. And that will heat set it too. Okay, now I'm coming, oh sorry, I rinsed my brush and I dried it on my paint cloth, and now I'm coming in with the damp brush and I'm gonna pounce out that deeper shade of this. It's kind of almost not a color, but you know, right? But I was also thinking for the yellowy, yes, the heat gun will set the inkjet prints, Lisa. So I'm going to take that. You can, or you can let it sit for a little bit and then try it, Bev. So this is, I'm so sorry. This camera stand is very bouncy, and I don't realize that I'm bouncing it until all of a sudden I see it moving. So I'm going to take some more white and add it to this yellow. A little more water. So try lots of different ones, you know. So I'm going to just, because I really want that kind of that yellowy cream color to kind of come out. I think that'll be kind of cool. I mean, you don't have to necessarily, your backgrounds don't have to necessarily be opposites on the color wheel. Remember we talked about that colors next to each other on the color wheel are also very complementary. Not complementary, but you know what I mean. They work well with other colors, like red and orange and yellow. They play nice together. You could do that, or you could do a traditional, just kind of a light gray or a light green, because we're going to do this petal green. You could do a lighter tone of this green as your background, or you could do something totally different. I am going to try that gessoed background so I can kind of talk about that. Yay! Lisa, you will not be sorry. You will love that color wheel. You will, you will. So I'm feeling like this, I want this petal to be green, but with a blue, kind of a blue tinge to it. So almost, you know those evergreens that look kind of blue-green? So I'm going to put some green up here. And then do you see I have some turquoise already here on my palette? So I'm going to mix that. The green I used, the watercolor palette that I used is, oh, I can't flip it open, but it's the classic watercolor confection tin from Prima Marketing or Art Philosophy. Their paint division is now called Art Philosophy, but it's still Prima Marketing's watercolor paints, and they are available at Scraps of Love Bev. You can totally get them there, and you can ask Samantha and she'll say she knows exactly. I use the same things in every class. I kind of have the same supplies in every class. So the one I was thinking about, so this green is not the exact green that I was kind of going for. I wanted a little bit bluer. So I'm gonna try to add just a little bit of the navy blue. I don't know if you can see that. See this navy that's kind of right next to it, a deeper shade. So we're gonna come in like that. Do you see how that's, now that's, if I turn it that way, I'm gonna add some water to it, right? And then I'm gonna come in and paint my watery wash. On both of these leaves. So if ever it feels like you've got too much paint down there, remember you can rinse your brush, dry it off on your paint cloth, and then come in, and this will act as a sponge. Do you see how it's already picking up paint? So that's all on my brush now, and I'm just gonna wipe it off on my paint cloth or my paper towel, whichever you use, right? But you see this is already dry, right? There's no picking it up. So you need to work kind of quickly with that. But remember, nothing is set in stone. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So we can come back in with a little bit of this green and darken up the deeper parts, right? So I might do like the whole, like from here, from this stippling, and then super close to the petal, and then all the way down to the next stippling, and then this stippling, and then super close to the petal, right? Let it set for a minute, rinse your brush, dry it off on your cloth, and then let's tap it out. And do you see that little bit, you just need to kind of learn its capabilities, right? So now I'm thinking I want to deepen here. Remember, we're kind of setting the stage with the paint, and the colored pencils are going to come in and wrap up the show. Do you know what I'm saying? Right, so we're going to do here, here, and we can do this underside of this petal. But do you see I left that little bit of white right here? That is totally, remember we talked about that's going to add to the dimension of the petal. Like I can already really see it, especially when I look in the iPad. So that's another trick that I learned a long time ago when I did design work, is because you're right on top of it. They taught us this in art school. If you're right on top of it, you're not going to see the big picture. You're just going to see the immediate detail, whatever the thing is you're working on. So remember we talked about the other day, I told you they would make us, everybody get up and go outside for a minute and then come back and look at our painting, or set it up on the wall and then walk to the other side of the room. You're going to see it with totally fresh new eyes. So sometimes I will just start it and then I'll leave it and come back like later this afternoon or this evening or even tomorrow morning. You will see that you'll see such a difference. You'll see such a difference. I think that's where I was going with that. But you're all starting to figure me out now, aren't you? my brain kind of goes here, there, and everywhere. So I'm going to take a little bit more of this milky brown, and I'm going to tap in. And remember we talked about kind of following like this one because it's under. It's going to be deeper under there, right? And you see my brush is like barely touching my paper. Rinse my brush again, dry it off on my paint cloth, and then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to do that. Almost like a barely scrubby. I don't know how else to describe it. Like I'm barely touching the surface of the paper, but my brush is just damp enough that it's moving, right? So, but remember we talked about deepening underneath and then following those natural lines that are already there, right? So look there, here, here. And it's especially cool when the deeper color is right next to a white, because then it's just gonna pop, right? So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna rinse my brush, wipe it off on my paint cloth, and then do that tap, tap, tap on this paint that we just added, but it's just dry enough that it's it can be moved with a damp brush. You're gonna figure that out. You'll figure out as you go along. You're gonna figure out how much water this paper, whatever paper you print on, how much water it can take. So always print more than one out of a certain kind of paper. And if you have many different kinds, write on there that this is Hammermill cardstock, or this is Northwoods watercolor, or whatever it is, because then you'll remember. Then you'll remember the like which one did what. And you could even like have a little notebook and tell yourself, like, until you figure it out all the way, that you know, Northwoods, I don't know, has great absorbency or something. So remember this petal down here is underneath these two. So we want this deeper. Just follow that line. And then bounce it out. But do you see, like, way down deep in, whoops. Way down deep in here, I might make that super dark or leave it light, because I kind of like how you can see through the petals. So you see how very thin they come down, and then there's white that's shining through. We might want to keep that white, or we could make it super dark. Whatever we want. Whatever we want. How is everyone doing? I think we have 1 minute. All right, I'm doing some watery yellow. Let's see what we can. We're just gonna add bits of that. Like, I'm just barely touching my paper with the watery yellow. Like once you put it down and it feels like it's like, oh my gosh, it's a giant glob of yellow. You know what? Just work it out with your brush. Like that one seems really yellow, right? So we can take a wet brush and we can lighten it. Wet it, flip it off on your, not flip it off, but you know what I mean. Dry it off on your paint cloth, and then just water it down a little bit. Perfect. All right. I think that wraps it up for today. I hope everybody had lots of fun. I hope that you will keep painting, and then on Thursday we'll create some backgrounds to go with the flowers that we've painted today. So I'll try to come up with as many as I possibly can by Thursday. I adore you all, and I'm so grateful that you come and spend an hour with me 3 times a week, and that we can paint together, because it makes me feel not so lonely. And look, I have my artsy crew with me. So come meet me back here on Thursday at 2 o'clock, and we will do some backgrounds and get painty. I adore you all. Thank you so much. Bye.